Let's go to line 3 and speak with one of the gentlemen who apparently has been scheduled in to call Backtalk this afternoon. Mount Pearl South MHA, Paul Lane. Hello, Paul, you're on the air.
Paddy, how are you doing this afternoon?
Not bad.
Good, boy. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, too, Paul. Did you read the Saturday front page with Bartlett's story about political manipulation?
I certainly did, sir, and that's exactly why I called in. I wanted to talk about the article, actually.
Okay, fair enough. You go ahead, and then I'll jump in.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, well, first of all, Paddy, there was a number of points, I guess, that was raised in the article. And the first point I want to make, and this is not to deflect from the issue or say that there's no merit to anything, no merit to any points raised or concerns raised, but we do have to recognize, first of all, that it was an anonymous, unsubstantiated source which was used. So, people have to bear that in mind when you read these stories. We can't take everything for gospel and that every single thing is exactly as it said. I think that's an important point to make. But the point I want to make in addressing some of the issues that were raised there. First of all, it talks about, and you just took the little shot there about, I'm scheduled to call in, okay?
Yep.
So that's the first thing I want to address. I want to say, Paddy, that certainly I believe as an MHA, and all MHAs, when we sign on for this job, one of the responsibilities that I believe that we all have is to let people know, particularly the people who elected us, to let them know that we're alive, to let them know where we stand on particular issues, to let them know things that are going on in their district, things that we're working on in our district, and let them know whether if we're in opposition or things that are happening wrong and you're in opposition. It's important to let people know where you stand, what you're doing as an opposition to bring forth the other side. I believe if you're on the government side and you think you're doing good things, it's important to let people know the good things you're doing, whether it be in your district or in the province as a whole.
That's not the point that they were making, though. The point they're making is that it's fine and dandy to want to get your message out, but that the issue was that you're being told when you're calling and given talking points. Now, obviously, the talking points are part of it because anyone with an ear can hear the same phrases being used by government members, so we know that's true. But does anyone tell you when government members are going to call the talk shows? Yes or no? Because that's the point being made.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm trying to get to. I know I'm a bit of a roundabout way, but I just wanted to make that point. So, yes, the bottom line is, Paddy, when it comes to it, you know and I know that if I try calling into your show, and the way it works, not just your show, all three talk shows, the way it works is that, you try to call in early, so I'll call in at 2 o'clock, sometimes 5 to 2, to make sure I can try to get in the queue. Now, we also know that there's going to be people from the NDP, people from the Liberals who are also going to call in. And, of course, you want to balance that out with people from the general public. As we know, sometimes you can get on, sometimes you can't. So it would not make sense for me, as an example, to be calling now, because when I called this afternoon, I had to call in at, like I said, 2 o'clock, and I've been sitting here by the phone basically for the last hour, just about an hour, which is fine, waiting to get on. So it wouldn't make sense for me and 5 other of my colleagues to do the same thing, knowing that only one of us are going to get on the show today. Yeah, but I mean, but generally speaking, one. So yeah, I would coordinate. I would certainly coordinate with my colleagues and say, guys, look, I'm planning on calling in this afternoon, so don't bother now, because at least that way I got a chance of getting on. And now if you got something to say tomorrow morning, you call in tomorrow.
So that's a yes.
So yeah, we would do that.
You're scheduled to come on, and as you know, scheduled. Well, coordinated or scheduled, however anyone wants to phrase it. Yep. I'm pretty sure what was said in the article is absolutely what goes on. But as you know, as someone who has called the show, you and your colleagues on all parties, just calling doesn't guarantee you getting on. I've said no to all of you at least once, because that's the way it works here. I want the normal crowd on. I want the citizens on before I want the members on. So we know it's true. But part of the problem is, Paul, is also this manipulation of the polls in the comment section. There's no question some of that goes on too. Is that not just a massive waste of time? It probably does have some influence with the public. I say people aren't that stupid, but I've been told that people are that stupid. So isn't that a giant waste of time? And isn't there better things to be doing with the people's money and the people's time?
Well, that's the second point. So the second point now, on the first point again, yes, I will coordinate with my colleagues and say I'm calling in today, so therefore I got a better chance. So that way, if you want to call them about something, you call tomorrow. That way we try to guarantee as best we can, knowing you guys are in control of the show, of that at least one of us can get on to get our points out in our district. As far as the other point about the polls go, okay? I have a routine. I'll just speak to my routine. When I go into work in the morning, I generally in my office around 7:30, 8 o'clock every morning as a general rule. I go in, I'll check my emails, I'll check my voicemails. Then I'll go into the three main news sources. I will go in to the VOCM website, I'll go into CBC website, I'll go into the Telegram website. I'll read all the top stories going on, what the stories are, what people are saying. Sometimes I read the comments, sometimes I don't read the comments. I do not personally make comments in those things because I don't believe, first of all, I don't believe in making anonymous comments, whether it be on Telegram, VOCM website, or on Twitter for that matter. I got no time for these anonymous people. I really don't. Although I do understand that, people have the right to do it, but anonymous stuff is just not my situation. It's just not how I operate. Never did.
Just one second.
So,
but the question is not what you do when you go to work in the morning. What business does the party have, and how foolish is it, what kind of waste of time is it to be bringing people in, people who are already on staff in the Confederation building, and directing them to leave anonymous comments, to be clicking mad all day to make sure the result on the VOCM question of the day is in line with government's position. I mean, for starters, it's a complete waste of time, and I think it is that kind of manipulation is it's dishonest, and it doesn't present a very professional view of the party or the government. And if it's going to backfire on all parties, because now I thought everybody knew this went on, but now that everyone is starting to talk about it, this is just going to backfire. Why doesn't everyone just knock it off and do your job?
Well, again, I will say to you, and I'll be the first one to say, when I go into all these sites and I read all the news stories, if there's a question of the day or something there, many times I will vote on it, and that's whether it's provincial, whether it's federal, whether it's municipal, or whether it's none of the above. I generally like to participate in the process, and I will personally make a vote. I'll make one vote. In terms of manipulating stuff on a computer, I don't even know how to manipulate on a computer. As far as I know, you can only vote one time. Now, if
you
there's
can
some
vote
computer guy,
there's people at Confederation
guy that knows a way around it, I don't know the way around it.
You don't need to be a computer guy. All you need to do is say vote now, click. And there's people up at Confederation building, no question. I've tracked the results of these polls some days. And it's alarming that we would have political parties, and I'm not just saying it to you, because I've said on the air the last couple of days, you're all at it, and everyone should stop, because it doesn't fool me, but apparently it fools others, and I think it's just sort of a dishonest way to present people's government and political party messaging. My own personal take on it. Here's someone who wants me to ask you this question from Twitter. It also was an accusation in the article about people not getting raises and being held back from promotion and what have you if they do not partake in the online manipulation foolishness. Can you react to that?
Yes, I certainly can, and that is foolishness. It's absolute foolishness. I can tell you, and I can say this with all honesty, I have never been either directly or indirectly told that I have to do anything, and I have never been directly or indirectly told that if I didn't do something that somehow my district was going to lose out, somehow I wasn't going to get a chance at some future time of getting promoted to a parliamentary secretary or cabinet minister or something. That's never been there. People, we have enough. Some members participate in these things more than others. There's some members that have Twitter accounts. There's some that don't. Some are active, some don't. Some
Does anybody in your office, Paul?
Some call on the open line and some don't.
Does anybody in your office click mad on the online polls and or anonymously comment in the news sections that you know of someone working for you in your office?
I can tell you that I have never witnessed anybody going and clicking mad on the thing, and from my understanding, Patty, and again, you can check this out for yourself. I'm not an expert on it, but I think what the story said was that there was some way that you manipulate the I don't think, if you try it there now, I don't think you can go on your poll and click mad 100 times and you'll get 100 votes.
Well, you know what?
I think what's being alleged is that there's something that you can do with your computer by removing some kind of
disable the cookies and all this foolishness. I don't know.
Yeah, and I don't even know anything about that stuff. So
Me neither. And you know why I don't know? Because I couldn't be bothered. I couldn't be bothered to be at that. And I really, I'm not as outraged as others are, but I have, now that we're talking about it, I would suggest as a member of the electorate, I don't speak for everybody, but I think I speak for most, whoever in the political party system is wasting their time with this kind of stuff, they'd be best served doing other things. I think for anybody, if it's coming from the 8th floor, then Premier you're done your deal, you have to call off the dogs because it's ridiculous. And if anybody at Confederation Building is listening and tempted to go vote 100 times on something, will you knock it off and go do something else? Do something else to earn your money, because that is not earning the people's public hard-earned money. He's up there clicking foolishness and anonymously commenting on news sections with political talking points on behalf of government. It's ridiculous, and the opposition parties do too. So I'm aiming that at the Liberals, the NDP, and the PCs. This kind of stuff is so dishonest. This is just disingenuous. It's bullshit, isn't it?
Paddy, I hear what you're saying, and let me just say something about the comments, okay? And I challenge you to have a look. I challenge you to have a look. Again, like I said, I read all the news stories every morning, and I've looked at some of the comments, and quite frankly, I get through some of them, and it almost sickens me to some degree because of some of the BS and garbage that's there. But if you look at the commentary, and I'm sure if you look at it, you will see, I would suggest, story after story, day after day, you're going to see the same anonymous names. They go by all these weird names, the same crowd that you see on, I suspect, on Twitter and everything else.
Sure.
The same names making the same comments. And I would also suggest to you that if you were to look at the stories, that I would say 75 to 80% of the commentary is all negative towards government and not positive towards. And I'm not saying that there's nobody there who would be a party supporter
guaranteed.
or a party faithful who would do it.
But you're right.
But I'm telling you that most of it there is government bashing as opposed to government praising, and it's the same crowd over and over again. So if there's a problem there...
Email leaked to us, inadvertently sent, that was Liberals asking other Liberals to go do the same thing. So you're all at it, and I just think it's one of those things where, a good policy should win the day. Not anonymous salty dog at dingbat.com writing a comment on the CBC site to somehow influence public opinion. Anyway, Paul, we're late going to the news. I appreciate your call today, and I know it's a hard topic to discuss as an elected member because it is egg on the face for all political parties. Just to be fair to you, it's all of the parties, and they should all knock it off.
Paddy, listen.
I appreciate your time.
I'll tell you this. Listen, I got no problem calling in about any of this stuff. I never did. I'm not hiding from any issues. I'm out there. Whether it be Open Line, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, you name it, I'm out there. I put my name, I stand behind my comments. I'm not anonymous, and I can give it and I can take it, and that's the way it should be.
I appreciate your call, Paul. Stay in touch.
Not a problem.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.